You may be owed some money. After 911 and 411, call 541. That's 727-541-1741. Call Gulfstream Motorsports for a diminished value report. Due to my 28 years experience in the auto salvage business, I'm very good with wrecks. So if your car's been involved in a wreck, call me for a diminished value report. Call 727-541-1741. You may be owed some money for the lost value of your repaired vehicle. And visit us at GulfstreamMotorsports.com.
Sheriff, is he making another run for it?
No. He ran out of asphalt in the middle of the night and asked me if he could come down here. All he's trying to do is make that there turn.
Ah, great. Perfect turns on every track I've ever raced.
Sheriff, why don't you go get yourself a quart of oil that flows? I'll keep an eye on him.
Well, thanks, Doc. I've been feeling a quart low.
This ain't asphalt, son. This is dirt.
Oh, great. What do you want? You here to gloat?
You don't have three-wheel brakes, so you've got to pitch it hard, break it loose, and just drive it with the throttle. Give it too much, you'll be out of the dirt and into the tulips.
So you're a judge, a doctor, and a racing expert.
I'll put it simple. If you're going hard enough left, you'll find yourself turning right.
Oh, right. That makes perfect sense. Turn right to go left. Yes. Thank you. Or should I say no thank you? Because in opposite world, maybe that really means thank you. Crazy grandpa car. What an idiot. Turn right to go left. Oh. Amazing.
Sign says stay up.
You have 3 piston cups. How could you
I knew you couldn't drive. I didn't know you couldn't read.
You're the Hudson Hornet.
Wait over it flows, like I told you.
Of course. I can't believe I didn't see it before. You're the fabulous Hudson Hornet. You still hold the record for most wins in a single season. Oh, we got to talk. You got to show me your tricks, please.
I already tried that.
I mean, you won the championship 3 times. Look at those trophies.
You look. All I see is a bunch of empty cups.
Took Hudall no time to work his way through the best racers in both Carolinas. Past River, past Lou, even Junior. But there was still the rookie to deal with. Tried slamming him into the wall. But Hud never touched any wall unless he wanted to. That rookie never saw anything like that before.
Doc, hold it. Seriously, your driving's incredible.
Wonderful.
Hey, I mean it. You've still got it.
I'm asking you to leave.
Come on, I'm a race car. You're a much older race car, but under the hood, you and I are the same.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Hey, everybody, this is Matey, like Tomato without the tuh. Just remember, you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars, right here on the radio. And if you're not, then I don't know what the heck you're listening to.
Okay, listeners, welcome. You're tuned into Nostalgic Radio and Cars, and I'm your show host, Robert. Run your computers and Google TanTalk1340.com, and you can see us live here in studios in downtown Clearwater. Don't forget to check out our website, GulfstreamMotorsports.com, where you can find out all about us. And if you've missed any of our 526 shows, I believe, you can go to our archive page, Nostalgic Radio and Cars. Good evening, Bobby.
Hey, how you doing?
Bobby is driving the radio station this evening. And so I'm sitting in.
You know how to drive a radio station?
Yeah. You do. That's right. So I'm sitting in here with my co-host, Scooby-Doo. Anyway, we got an exciting show. We got a pretty good show for you tonight. We got another exciting guest this evening. It's all about the guests. It's not about me. But anyway, all right, Charlotte, let me give you, I don't know if I got a story or not. Usually I have a story or two. But so what did we do this weekend? Well, this weekend we went to Leadfoot Cities. I think this would be their fourth swap meet. So that would have been Father's Day. They had the first one. Then they had one. So that would have been June, July, August, September. That's the fourth one. So, and every month it gets a little bit better. And yeah, you know, every time I go there, I always find something. But it's a great place for me to network with people because Leadfoot City's swap meet is pretty much put on by, I think, Monster Transmission up there in Brooksville. So it's just south of Brooksville on 41. Real easy to get to, plenty of parking, lots of trees, lots of shade. They do it right. They got a swap meet. They got a car show. They got a motorcycle show. They have live entertainment, which is cool. You got a couple guys up there in musical instruments up there, guitars and banjos or drums and portable piano.
Is that called a band?
That's called a band. That's
oh,
right.
okay.
That's right. And they actually play music, and they coordinate together, and they actually sound pretty good. And they have assorted bands. You know, every week or every month there's something different. They have a let's call it a skid pad. But what's real popular up there is it's kind of like they have little drifting contests or drifting exhibitions, and that's pretty good. And then, of course, this time they had a guy on their motorcycle going out there doing little motorcycle stunts, and then they had what appeared to be, if you go to our Facebook page, Nostalgic Radio and Cars, it appears that they were racing around on the skid pad with like electric scooters, like handicap scooters that were modified. So in other words, the bodies were off.
You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers.
Yeah, buddy. But anyway, keep them coming, Bobby. Anyway, our buddy, I just dropped my armrest over here. Anyway,
how do you manage to do that?
How to manage that? I hit the button. I was leaning on one side. At any rate, what else? Okay, so there was a lot of good stuff there. A lot of race car stuff, a lot of hot rod stuff. And I was on the quest for a set of rotten, ugly, bent up, rusty Model A fenders. And the reason being is because a while back, a number of years ago, a buddy of mine gave me traded me, because in our world, in our little car world, you know, we, as parts junkies, we tend to swap and barter and trade and stuff like that. But I ended up with a Model A grill. And then I was at the Sumter County Fairgrounds, which was the first Sunday of every month. The Leadfoot Cities is the third Sunday of every month. And somehow I ended up with a light bar off a Model A, or what I believe to be off a Model A. It's kind of cool. It's a little metal, and it's got some brass. It's got a brass ring on it, you know, like a bezel. It's kind of cool. And the glass is tinted a little bit. It's got kind of a yellow tint to it. So I took it apart, pinned the back end of it, kind of a gold color. So it gives a little bit of a yellow amber kind of look to it, which is kind of cool. But it's kind of retro. So and I started hanging this stuff on the wall, and I was missing something. I said, nah, it needs a little more character. I know, it needs some fenders. And so I ran into my buddy Jay up there, who was an old school racer from the old days back down in Palm Beach and Broward County. Is Palm Beach Broward County, Bobby? Or is that Palm Beach County?
Palm Beach County.
Palm Beach County? Where's Broward? Just below it?
Just below Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, okay. Anyway, Davie, is that part of West Palm Beach, or is that Broward also?
I think that sounds like Broward.
It sounds like Broward. Doesn't sound like West Palm Beach. It's not. Anyway, there's PBI, which is Palm Beach International Raceway, which later turned into Moroso, which is now back to being Palm Beach International Raceway. Drag strip, but they do some road racing and stuff down there. We've been down there with HSR, Vintage Race Car Club, and some drag stuff going on there. I think they had Fun Ford Sunday down there one time, Super Chevy, all that kind of stuff. So PBI is pretty cool. But anyway, so Jay comes up with some oddball stuff every once in a while, mostly vintage racing stuff, hammy stuff, flathead stuff, and just bizarre stuff. But anyway, he was there, so I was jaw-jacking with him a little bit. And I said, hey, you know what I need? I need
paying customer?
Yeah. I need some junky Model A fenders. He says, well, today's your lucky day. It's my lucky day. Yes, it was my lucky day. So he said, yeah, I just happen to have a junk Model A pickup truck, and the body and the fenders are the same. He says, they're really nasty. You may or may not want them, but I didn't throw them out yet. But if you want them, I'll drop them by. So Monday, he came by my shop, dropped them off. So I stared at him for a while, and a friend of mine, Greg, was standing there, and we were looking at him, and I'm going,
Just say, show me the Carfax.
And that's what Greg said. No, anyway, so the one fender is the right fender is kind of usable. Left one, man, that's Swiss cheese. But Bobby's a welder now, and because he's
no, he's not.
He's not. He learned welding in school.
He could,
and
he can turn it on, or
and turn it on.
Maybe make some sparks.
Okay, we're gonna try to make some sparks. We're gonna use our little 110 buzz box, and we're gonna kind of patch this thing up. And then I'm gonna cut it short, and then I'm gonna make some brackets, and I'm going to fabricate it, and I'm going to put it on the wall. And then when I do, I will proudly display it on Facebook, since that's where everybody else goes. Facebook. Not that we're Facebook fans, but we do Facebook.
Much to my dismay, we do.
Yeah, much to my dismay. All right. Anyway, thank you for that commentary there, Bobby.
I hope they hear it out there on that live.
What a platform. Anyway, social media. What can I say? But anyway,
but they can't take our tower.
No, they can't take our tower. But anyway, so while I was out there scrounging around, I ran across a guy, had some other miscellaneous things, but I found a set of rare. If you guys are my era, in your 60s, born in the 50s, 60s, if you flew on airplanes back in the early 60s, mid 60s, they had these funky seatbelts that were kind of like, I can't even describe them, but they're like a buckle where the seat, the other side of the seat kind of slides in, and you pull it and tighten it, and it's got like a little spring-loaded little latch thingy. Anyway, there was a guy that had a set of those there. Seatbelts, I do not believe, I think we had this discussion once before, I think they weren't mandated either 64 or 68. Headrests, I think, were 68. If Alan's listening, he's the Automotive Dictionary Encyclopedia. He'll probably know. He'll call in. But anyways, these were early set of aircraft style seatbelts. But what was interesting, on the backside of the buckle, it was cast Ford. So I knew, because safety was kind of becoming an issue in the late 50s. They first came out with padded dashes and a few little things back then. There's some safety features incorporated in cars back in the day. Seatbelts weren't mandatory, but they were becoming prevalent, and they were an option, and they were becoming prevalent. So my guess is these were late 50s, early 60s style seatbelts, but the gentleman that I got them from said they came out of a 64, 65 Mustang. He also had a set of 64 date-coded Mustang fastback seatbelts, which I picked those up too. So if you need some seatbelts, give me a call. But the Ford ones, the vintage ones, I'm not gonna sell those, because I'm probably gonna stick those in my 57 Thunderbird, because I would be period correct for that. And since I've had that car since I was in high school, we didn't use seatbelts back then. Still don't sometimes. But anyway.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Man, that's an appropriate one. Anyway, so I got a set of seatbelts. And there were some other miscellaneous things there. And then my buddy Vic from Cigar City Concourse was there, and he had a little license plate frame that said Aston Martin Jaguar of Tampa. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. It was a little oxidized, so I asked him if it came out of the bottom of the Tampa Bay, because it was pretty nasty looking. But hey, if you're into vintage stuff, and if you're into, some of the stuff may not be adequate for cars, to put on your car necessarily, but you know what they are? It's ideal car art. Just hang it on the wall. It's just cool. It's a conversation piece. Somebody walks in your shop or whatever, your little man cave, even if you make just one little wall, one little corner, make it yours, or if it's in your office. But that's the cool thing about this kind of stuff. I mean, you don't have room maybe to hang a 32 Ford grill in your shop or something like that, or in your house. Your wife might not like that. Mom might not like that, but she says down there in your hole, you can put whatever you want down there. Take your couch with you. Take your microwave. In your little your coffee pot. But at any rate, Bobby, I think we're going to throw something on the tube. And since we're into our guest this evening likes grunge. or heavy metal. So we're going to do a little of, we're going to go with the grunge direction this time. So here's a guy by the name of Tom Snyder. He's out of, I want to say the Pacific Northwest. And this is a play. It's kind of like a, what's the word they call on it, Bobby, when they do a play on something?
Parody.
That's it. That's it. Parody. It's a parody on grunge. So, hey, you're tuning into Nostalgic Radio and Cars. Enjoy the songs. The guy's kind of pretty good. He's a lyricist and he's a pretty good singer. He can pick six string pretty good. Anyway, you're tuning into Nostalgic Radio and Cars. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Seattle to play some grunge. Washington State, that is. Space Needle. Eddie Vedder. Mutton, honey. Now to fit in fast, we wear flannel shirts. We turn our amps up until it hurts. We got bad attitudes, and what's more, when we play, we stare straight down at the floor while we pretty scary. How pensive, how totally alternative. Now to fit in on the Seattle scene, you gotta do something they ain't never seen. So thinking up a gimmick one day, we decided to be the only band that wouldn't play a note under any circumstances. Silence, music's original alternative. Roots grunge. Well, we spread the word to the underground that we were the hottest new...
Looking for car shows? Then look no further than FLAcarshows.com. On your computer or on your mobile device, FLAcarshows.com is a comprehensive list of automotive events, plus videos and news articles. Whether you're looking for car shows, cruise-ins, meetups, automotive festivals, cars and coffees, or anything else relating to an internal combustion engine, then this is a site for you. Check it out online or on your phone at FLAcarshows.com.
Come enjoy the best brews in Tampa Bay at Dunedin Brewery. Known as Florida's oldest microbrewery, they are always working to create a unique variety of craft beers for every taste. In addition, Dunedin Brewery features a full menu, including everything from their famous wings, burgers, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget about their live music, including the Wednesday Night Players Jam. That's Dunedin Brewery, 937 Douglas Avenue in downtown Dunedin. Visit them online at DunedinBrewery.com.
Okay, we're back and you're tuned into Nostalgic. We're at the racetrack, Nostalgic Radio and Cars here. Anyway, big shout out to Kenny. I see Kenny's tuning in again. Probably Scott and a couple other guys. Radio Rob, Alan, and I actually get my little romper room mirror out, like Miss whatever her name used to do, and that's before your time. Anyway, those of you tuning in, oh yeah, you need to do the Artie laugh. See, we had the Artie laugh.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But anyway, so we're really going
take
with
the dust off of that one.
Swap meet. Okay, all right. So then the other thing is, what else did I do? I love driving around because when you're driving around, I have a bad habit of doing it. I don't stay on the main roads. I go down side roads, and I go down more side roads, and occasionally I even get stuck on side roads.
I attest to that.
You can attest to that. Yeah. Well, here's the rub or the joke. IG, he's probably listening too. But I have a bad habit of I drive a van now occasionally and or whatever I was driving, truck, whatever. But I have a bad habit of if something's useful laying alongside of the road, whether it be in the meeting, side of the road, Bobby can attest to this. What do? I stop and pick it up because I got a use for it. I don't care whether it's a milk crate. I don't care whether it's a bucket, a pallet, bag of hammers.
Yep. It's great rescue here.
Great rescue. Anyway, but we have some fun with it. And, but anyway, so what did I find the other day? I mean, the stuff is still out there, guys. It's not uncommon to find a Mustang. There's up there. I'm not going to say it's just like a couple of weeks ago or 3-4 weeks ago when I had to make a trip to Alabama and to do an appraisal on the car. I took every side roads. I mean, the good thing about the phone is I have Google Maps. So I don't always get lost, but every once in a while, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's hard to determine when you look at Google Maps whether the road actually goes through. And nothing's worse than when you're going down a long road for a number of miles, looking left, looking right, rubberneck, and all of a sudden, suddenly the road disappears. Turns into a dirt road. So you figure, okay, because I've been in dirt roads that kind of hopscotch around. Next thing you know, they get their asphalt and you make a left, make a right, go through a couple of woods and around a couple of trees. And next thing you know, you're on a road again. And but when you get into a dead end road, it's not cool. But I've been on the hunt lately for some tractor parts, some forklift parts, some F-250 parts. Let's see what else. Oh, all kinds of stuff. And because I'm working on a number of different projects for a number of different reasons. But anyway, we like to have varieties of spice of life. Isn't that what they say, Bobby? Varieties of spice of life?
That is.
Something like that. But anyway, so, but there's certain cars out there I think that are kind of valuable. And our guest is going to be coming on here in a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the cars. But we talk a lot about, the cars that are affordable. Now, what's hot right now, real hot, third-gen Camaros. I mean, second-gen Camaros and Firebirds, F-bodies, we know they're hot. We know Mustangs are up until 73. Mustang 2s, jury's still out on those. But there are some guys collecting them. Big shout-out to my friends down there at Forte's Garage. And they sent me a lady the other day that is looking to purchase a 1978 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Pretty car. It was originally the I can't think of that. It's kind of like a coffee brown, mocha brown, but the car was repainted. I think 78's a 1-year only color. It's called Martinique Blue. Very, very pretty car, and it's owned by a gentleman here in St. Pete. So basically, I'm doing a PPI / appraisal on that car. Pretty neat old piece. So a big shout out to my friends down there at Forte's Garage. And if you need your car worked on or your ski boat, that's where you want to go. 727-544. Geez, I can't remember. God, my mind, you know what's really bad is my mind goes blank. But anyway, look them up. 644-5440. I think that's what it is. 727-644-5440. Pretty sure. Forte's Garage. Anyway, but Fox Body Mustangs, third gen Camaros and Firebirds are hot right now. Obviously, we know the Grand Nationals are. Cars like that. These cars are all buyable, under 15 grand, for driver quality cars. Then second gen Camaros and Firebirds are getting up there a little bit. They're pulling mid 20s, low 30s, depending on which ones they are. And of course, even though I'm not a Chevy guy, I'm a Ford guy, but I do like 70 and a half Z28s. And I think my buddy Ken that's listening has got a 72 or 3 Z28. And that's just a good looking car. There's 70, 71, 72, 73 Camaros, really attractive cars. Same thing with the Trans Ams and the Firebirds, pretty cars. So bang for the buck, that's a good car. Parts available. Our friends up there at National Parts Depot got all kinds of cool stuff. But anyway, on that note, I think Bobby's going to fire up the stereo again. We're going to get our guests on. You're tuned into Nostalgic Radio and Cars Don't Touch That Dial. Here's a little, we got Foo Fighters?
Yes, we do.
Foo Fighters. Okay, hey, we'll be right back.
This could take all night. Think I need a devil to help me get things right. Hook me up a new revolution. This one is a lie. I sat around laughing to watch the last one die. Now I'm looking to the sky to save me. Looking for a sign of light. Looking for something to help me burn out bright. I'm looking for complication. Looking 'cause I'm tired of life. Make my way back home in a winter Think I'm dying nursing patience. It couldn't wait one night. Give it all away if you give me one last try.
Okay, so we just forget about Logan taking over, okay, Flatnose? You always said that any one of us could challenge you, Butch. Well, it's because I figured no one would do it.
Figured wrong, Butch.
You guys can't want Logan.
Well, at least he's with us, Butch. You've been spending a lot of time gone.
Well, that's because everything's different now.
Guns or knives,
It's
Butch?
harder now. You got to plan more. You got to prepare more.
Guns or knives?
Neither.
Pick.
I don't want to shoot with you, Harvey.
Anything you say, Butch.
Maybe there's a way to make a profit in this. Bet on Logan.
I would, but who'd bet on you? Sundance. When we're done, he's dead. You're welcome to stay.
Listen, I don't mean to be a sore loser, but when it's done, if I'm dead, kill him.
Love to.
No, not yet. Not until me and Harvey get the rules straightened out.
Rules? In a knife fight? No rules.
Well, if there ain't gonna be any rules, let's get the fight started. Someone count 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, go.
I was really rooting for you, Butch.
Well, thank you, Flatnose. That's what sustained me in my time of trouble.
This is Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market and American Car Collector, and you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
Okay, we're back, and you're tuned into Nostalgic Radio and Cars, and it's time to introduce our special guest for the evening. This gentleman is, yes, a car collector. He's a writer, but he's mostly well known for writing and putting together consignment catalogs for top-notch auctions like Gooding, Bonhams, R.M. Sotheby's. I'm delighted to welcome to the show this evening, David Nyers. David, how you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All the way from Canada.
That's right, Ontario, halfway between Detroit and Toronto.
Okay. Well, David, why don't you, I was talking a little earlier about cars, a couple of them, but we'll get into that a little later. But why don't you give us a little background on yourself, and I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do. This is like,
Awesome.
what's
Thanks
my
a lot.
line?
My first time at it.
Okay.
All right. Well, you know, I've been a car nut since about 3.5 years old. And when I was about 4, I started reading the newspaper to my granny when I was over visiting her. And for some reason, I thought there might be some people might be interested in somebody that likes cars that also likes writing. And I think I was about 41 years old, and finally started working at that when I got into the auction business.
Prior to that, you were what?
I was actually an account manager at a bank branch, helping my customers deal with their finances. But conversations went invariably every time we met to cars and classic cars, especially, and hot rods.
Okay, so it was kind of like a natural evolution, just to kind of like sidestep the banking industry and wind up in the. Dealing with investments and portfolios, you're dealing with collector cars, which are basically investments and portfolio assets.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And a little bit of a long, strange trip to get there, but started in 2008 and haven't looked back ever since. Love it. Made a lot of great friends and saw a lot of really cool collections, and I'm busier than ever before. So that's a real plus to the business too.
So what was it like growing up in Canada? What was the car culture like when you were growing up, when you were a teenager?
You know, I was one of 2 car crazy guys in my high school. That was it, out of about 400 students. And people just, we were the weirdos of the school. I was sporty too, though, so I played a lot of hockey and a lot of other sports, but there weren't too many car crazy guys like me. The other fella, he runs a business in Tillsonburg called Cars, and he builds hot rods for all the local older fellas that have done well and made money, and he builds their rides for them. So we're both in our business now.
Excellent. So you both wound up following your passion, so to speak.
Absolutely. And it sounds trite, but I couldn't have scripted it any better.
Now, when you were 16. Of course, we always ask this, and this is kind of a cliche question, but people want to know, what was your first car?
First car was, we all had pickup trucks because it was a farming area. So mine was a 78 Chevy Silverado,
okay,
354 barrel, shift kit, headers, duals, and smoked the tires and had a lot of fun with it. And that was my first fun ride.
Okay. Long bed
had a few others shortly after.
Short bed or long bed truck?
It was a long bed, a Big 10 cargo hauler, actually. And it turned out the rear suspension was, it laid down the traction pretty good.
Okay, well, you know what? The Chevy truck suspension, the rear trailing arms and everything like that, they still use that, or not anymore, but that was used in NASCAR for years and years and years and years. I didn't know that until one day I was looking underneath the car and I lost a bet. So, oh well.
I didn't know that either, but it works.
It worked.
That's the main thing. It's not fancy, but it works.
Uh-huh. So now, today, moving forwards, you're a car collector, and I understand you like Pontiacs. So tell us a little bit about some of the Pontiacs that you might have stashed away.
Oh, I wish I had some stashed away, but I'll tell you, my first, actually my second ride was in high school, and I bought it myself with my hay baling and tobacco harvest money, and that was a 79 10th anniversary Trans Am that I found, and it was only 4 years old at the time, and I just loved that car. I wouldn't change the 8-track, the red digital LED display. I kept the 8-track tapes. Loved it. That was a fabulous road car. And I love GTOs and F bodies anyway, but that was, if I could get another one, that would be the one to buy.
Well, now you're in the industry. I mean, it should be pretty easy for you to come across something like, a car like that. I mean, they are out there.
Oh, they are. And they built quite a number of them. Absolutely. And yeah, that'd probably be an easy target to score.
So tell us about the auction world and some of the stuff that you've done. Now, I know you've written some articles for some publications as well.
Yeah, quite a number of them, especially for the Concours program for the St. John's, used to be Meadowbrook.
Uh-huh.
I did a few of those, some nice long features for that. I'm also I also deal in the warbird market, so I've sold some restoration projects that are going to be shown soon in the next couple of years once they're done restoration. But so I've done some articles for FlyPass from the UK, Warbird Digest for the States. That'd be just a couple of them anyway. RM Magazine, Barrett Jackson Experience Magazine, I've done some there. So it's always varied. There's always a different kind of a different assignment every day.
Now, when you do these cars, like let's just say you do something for Goodings or Bonhams or RM or even Barrett Jackson, their salon cars, the quality level of these cars, and this is where I run into as an appraiser every once in a while, because people, guys like yourself, if you've been to St. John's, which is up in Michigan, up in Novi there, and or Amelia Island or Pebble, or back when they did the Arizona Concourse, and there's a number of concourses. I've never been to Greenwich or anything like that. And I know there's another one, Cobble Beach or something like that's up in Canada someplace.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, up on Georgian Bay here near Collingwood. That's sort of our Pebble Beach North.
Yeah, I think we've had a couple people from there on our show before, because they had it last year, and then I think this year, unfortunately, everything's been canceled or postponed. But when you do these cars, are they all? Describe for our listeners the caliber of cars these are, because these are not cars that you would just really drive on the road every day. These cars are very special.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And there's a huge, wide range of them. Be them pre-war, brass era, post-war. Muscle cars and supercars, the modern supercars now. But even Japanese domestic market JDM vehicles. It's so broad, and there's so many nice cars out there. And the running joke is I've never met a car I didn't like, kind of idea. So, and that's after all these years in the business. I mean, there's always something fun. There's always something. Maybe it's industrial history, or maybe it's who designed the cars. Maybe it's who drove them and raced them. Sometimes I'm able to track those people down and talk to them if they're still alive or still with us, and get it from the so they say from the horse's mouth, a little bit more of the story, so that which really makes this a human business. We're selling cars, but we're dealing in relationships, and we're dealing in trust and friendship and the experience around it all. So I'm kind of going around in circles a little bit, but it's we're dealing with a product, we're dealing with a service, but before, during, and after, it's about the people.
Well, one thing I've said many times on this show, and there's a few people that agree with me. I would say Jay Leno, who's been on our show a number of times, Donald Osborne, a few people like that, Bill Warner.
Right.
Cars have a soul. People don't get it. They think it's ridiculous. It's an inanimate object, but there's a soul. And, it's like when that 1932, Duesenberg rolled off the assembly lines, that car was custom bodied, and it was special ordered, and it meant somebody to the buyer at the time, the person that ordered that car and owned that car. And it was an experience. And I'll just use Clark Gable as an example. You start looking at some of the cars, and I don't know if you've done any of his cars. I mean, if you've done RM and Goodings, I know there are a few of his cars have rolled through their auctions over the years. And he was kind of like the Jay Leno of the times. He had a number of cars, but his cars were all custom, special. So you got this Clark Gable soul and spirit with that car. And when you appraise a car, when you look at a car, and I know it sounds kind of corny, but it's almost like it takes you back in time and you try to put yourself there at the showroom, ordering that car, speccing that car out, and now the car becomes a spirit, if you will, and it becomes something, and it's just really cool. And that stays with the car. Do you find that true?
Oh, totally. There's an energy to them. Absolutely right. I've been able to I've been able to drive a friend's Indy car, actually a '59 Indy Roadster. Pardon me, it's a 1948 Indy car before the Roadster era, and it was campaigned by his dad's Lincoln Mercury dealership. And to imagine what those guys were doing at 130, 140 miles an hour on the speedway in such a tight, confined space, so exposed to the elements and everything, and that I was in the cockpit, and I had a chance to just drive it briefly, and it was pretty cool. So there's a soul.
So it's like you sit in a car, you close your eyes, and it's just like you're in that time machine, and you're in that moment, right?
Yeah. And you know what, when you experience something like that, you're in that moment, like you said, and it's unfolding right in front of you. So I used to have a pedal car when I was 3.5 years old, a Chaparral Mark II pedal car. So it was pretty groovy at the time. And believe me, I imagined I was on the track with all the big guys back then, Donahue and Fulmer and all those guys, and Parnelli Jones and all that. So I let my imagination run wild, and I guess I still do. So it lets me be a kid again.
That feeling too is where I'm going with this, is that if the car's never been restored, if the car is like a survivor, a period correct car, it truly that feeling emanates from those cars, as opposed to a car that's been restored. I mean, when I look at a car that's been restored, I go, all right, it's just another restored car. It's nice, it's cool, it's pretty, it's beautiful, it's concourse and everything like that. But a car that's all original with that feeling, that character, that soul, that you can't take away. And that's what I tell people. I said, the car's only original one time. You take it apart, that's all gone.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really like cars that are, I take something that's maybe got paint issues or whatever, but it's solid and it's all there. And, it just seems like more authentic. You can imagine what it was like for these guys to build them, or, race them or drive them. Absolutely right.
So of all the cars that you've done, well, I shouldn't say of the many cars, is there a couple that really left you with a unforgettable, just wow, just that feeling, I mean, because you've done some cars. So give me a car out of the 30s that you did that just gave you that, I'm just totally, you were like in awe.
Oh yeah, there's a few of them, but the one that sticks out as my personal favorite, I don't know if any of the listeners would know this car. If they went to Amelia or Pebble Beach at some point, they would have seen this one. It's a 1930 Cord L29 front drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the Hayes Coupe. It's this blue coupe. And at the time, everybody wanted open cars, roadsters and touring cars and things like that. And this one was a coupe, and it was really a cutting edge design. And the designer was probably the most famous designer of automobiles in the 20s and the 30s. And then when the coach building era ended with the war and afterwards, he fell completely out of favor. And yet he was like the leading designer of the pre-war era, Alexis de Satanovsky. And that whole story, his life story, really took on a new life with me when I was doing the description for this car. I mean, he won all the major awards in Europe with it. You had to actually drive to each event. You couldn't, he replaced batteries because the generator was failing. So this is a designer at the top of his game, and he's not afraid to go and turn wrenches and make this thing work so we can get to the next show. And he won it, I believe, in London, England, Monaco, and in Paris with it. stunning car, stunning story. Triumph and tragedy, everything you need for a movie. But that's the car that kind of takes me into that. And then Brooks Stevens owned it from around 1940 and through the 80s, actually. And the car got shown at Pebble Beach, which is really cool. So I got to talk to the man who restored it for Brooks and kind of, get his take on it a little bit. But what a story, what a car. And it's just probably the most beautiful object I've seen anyone ever make in my lifetime anyway.
And that sounds like a pretty cool car, because there was a car, the L29 Cord, that was owned by Lloyd Wright, the architect. And that car was actually here in Pinellas County at one point in time in the mid 80s. And I had an opportunity to buy that car. And I'm not sure what the whole story was, but there was a broker involved in it. And I always wanted to be an architect. So I had this, and I grew up in Northern California. And one of the last projects that Lloyd Wright did was the convention center, Terra Linda, which is in Marin County, where I grew up.
Okay.
So I had this thing for Lloyd Wright, and I thought about it at the time, and it was within my means of affordability. It was really only $20,000, which wasn't a lot back in the 80s for a very unusual and very rare car, since we were paying that for Shelby's and Bosses and Porsches and stuff like that. But I passed on it. And today I think that car is probably worth $300,000-$400,000. But the L29 Cord is an absolutely stunning car, especially if you get it with the wood lights on it.
Oh yeah, they're brilliant. It's just a beautiful look, the Art Deco kind of thing going on. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, this is the front drive. I mean, the first American front drive car.
Yes. But here's the thing about the cars, and you've got to kind of share this and experience this as well. Is like, even though you and I are probably muscle car guys and grew up with cars in the 50s and 60s or 60s and 70s and stuff, it's kind of like, okay, how many more Camaros, Mustangs, Firebirds? No disrespect to those cars, but I mean, they're cool. But what happens is you're kind of looking for something different. These pre-war cars that you're talking about you start looking at them, and you can actually see the design, the engineering, the mechanics on it, and you really get a good idea of what is really involved in a car, because you can see it. You can see everything. There's nothing hidden. It's all there. It's all
That's right.
And and it's fixable.
That's right. Well, yeah, and the other thing is pre-war cars are a relatively huge value in the market right now. I mean, something like an Auburn Boattail Speedster is always going to be a big ticket car. But, a Duesenberg J is always going to be a big ticket car. But then there's accessibility even in when you break those down in terms of what the bodywork is like, say for a Duesenberg. I mean, they're a little less expensive for a sedan, but they still bring a ton of money. But the thing is, there was an amazing amount of engineering know-how, prowess, skill before World War II. And I mean, like the Duesenberg J, for example, 320 horsepower with a supercharger, dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder. I think those cars were good for at least 120 miles an hour. Now, the basic J could hit over 100 miles an hour on a good stretch of road. But, again, it was race-based engineering like Indianapolis cars. And, the specifications for those cars, sound pretty current today even. They really had things going on.
They did. And you stop and think about it. You're talking about that, a Model J or SJ Duesenberg or some of those cars. And you're talking cars that weighed, 7,000, 8,000 pounds? Those things were huge.
Yeah, exactly. And they were delivering that kind of performance, at the time, on the roads of the time. I mean, I think interstates were only really being rolled out after those cars were in their heyday. So, I mean, it's a fantastic achievement. But then again, you look at a Model T, a Model T Ford. I mean, they're easy to fix. They're easy to maintain. There's a lot of parts available. And, there were millions of them made. On the other hand, they're an absolute icon that you can grab for $8,000 to $10,000 and have fun with. So that's what it's about too. I mean, it's nice to see the museum cars. It's nice to see the trailer queens and the concours cars. But I get just as much joy, if not more joy, out of something that you can have a little fun with on a secondary road around here.
You've ridden for Gooding, Bonhams, RM. How about museums? Have you ever done anything for any of the museums up your way or around the country? any cataloging or storylines for them or descriptions?
I'd like to help them to be able to stay in operation. I've part of my job is cataloging the cars that are going to auction, and it's usually sadly when someone's passed away or a museum is folded, and where I see cars hitting the market again. And it'd be kind of nice to kind of help some of these organizations stay afloat or stay relevant, and maybe get the word out about them so that the donation jar and the cash registers are overflowing again. So there's always two sides of the coin. Mostly it's the liquidation side, though, when I see them.
A topic that comes up a lot and comes up very often on this show. In fact, over the weekend, I was actually with some guys from the American Classic Truck Association of America or something like that. And so getting younger people interested in our hobby, and it's like your take on it. I mean, I think when you look at the cars, the post-war cars, and how ornate, that's part just the beginning of the, it's part of the Art Deco age, the industrial age, some pretty amazing stuff out of the 30s. Do you think that the younger crowd will gravitate to that? Because those cars are historically significant, and there was a lot of innovation back in those days that carried forward to what we have today.
Give them a ride in one. If you ever had a ride in an L29 or a Duesenberg J or a Packard 12 or a Marmon 16, I think even the most video game addled young person would probably be just as jazzed about that stuff as I am. I think the idea is get them to experience these cars firsthand, not just sitting in a museum, but actually when they're doing something, when they're actually operating and driving. But getting kids involved by working on them, I think, is the way to win that. That's sort of a challenge. Hands-on, phone down, hands-on. I think it'd be a real kick for a lot of young folks.
Well, we're working real hard to get Mike Rowe on our show because he's a big proponent of vocation and automotive and just all kinds of stuff in schools. And you and I had that when we were in schools. It's not there now, but that's kind of one thing we need. But tell us about some of the restoration shops. We got a few minutes left. So I know you've been around some of these cars and you've seen some of them go through the restoration process. Tell us about, name a restoration shop or two in the country that do some mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah, when it comes to actually not just muscle cars, but classic European sports cars, Cobras, Tigers, trying to think, Ferrari racing cars even, some of them have been mangled up in well-documented wrecks. One of the best places I've ever seen that has done any of that kind of work is Legendary Motor Car, and I'm not paid to endorse these folks.
Okay.
I know these folks, but they're in Milton, Ontario, and to see the techniques they use in terms of a restoration, they have a TV show as well, and just to see the things they do to make sure that an early Mustang is square and sound and will withstand a restoration is unbelievable what they do. And I think they pioneered a lot of work in the field of making those kind of cars right again. Mopars, especially E-bodies and things like that, Barracudas and Cudas, Challengers. If they're not done right, or an early Mustang's not done right, I mean, it is a mess and a safety hazard. And these guys know how to structurally deal with those challenges. So in the more modern cars, absolutely, that's a company that really stands out in my mind for, I want to give them some props. The stuff I'd seen at RM was, during my early days in cataloging, was unbelievable in the shop there. There's guys like Ernie Moreau there, Don McClellan, and the whole staff there. So the story was, when I worked at the auction site, I would go have my lunch with the guys in the restoration shop, because they were just amazing to get along with, and they were always willing to give me the time to show me, like the Lodge D8, Pebble Beach restorations, all the intricate details. I mean, they showed me it all the way up to C2 Corvettes, what was right, what was wrong with them. Show cars, concept cars, like the Edsel Ford Speedster, that was widely shown about 10, 12 years ago. They did that restoration there, and what an amazing job that was. Concept cars too that I saw that they had restored there. So I tried to learn as much as I could from them and see as much as I could of what they were doing, and I'd have to say that they're sort of among the gold standard as far as restoration goes.
Well, that's good. And I knew you were referring to Peter Clute and Dream Car Garage up there, Legendary Motor Cars, and obviously RM.
Yeah.
And if you go online, he's got an amazing video there of some of the restoration stuff that they do up there in Canada. But David, we are up against the clock. I want to thank you very much. Real quick, if people want to find out more about you, and I know you have an ebook out there, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah. My website is classicauctionnews.com, and you can download my free ebook, which is an introduction to classic car auctions and the players in it in that field. The other thing is I'm launching a new product, a new service for people who have cars to display or cars to sell, and it's called motorcopy.com. And that's where people are going to be able to access written sales or display copy. It's professionally written and fact-checked, and they can download it and use it, or they can edit it as they see fit for their needs, and that'll soon be launched and available for purchase. Super.
Well, David, you take care. The next time a major event takes place, hopefully I'll have an opportunity to meet you in person. And in the meantime, we'll definitely stay in touch. And I want to thank you again for coming on our show this evening.
Love it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you. Keep in touch. I want to thank my special guests, David Nyers, auction rider, concourse rider, consignment, car collector, the whole 9 yards. Definitely check out our website. In the meantime, I want to thank all my listeners for tuning into Nostalgic Radio Cars. Don't forget to check us out every Tuesday night here on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Don't forget to tell your friends. Follow us on social media. Bobby, social media real quick.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Yeah, Nostalgic Radio and Cars. See you at some of the car shows. Check out flacarshows.com where you can find out where all the car shows are. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, drive carefully, and love your family.
To the other side, bring on you out. Oh, yeah! Rain to sea, week to week, day to day, hour to hour, day straight, deep and wide, bring on you to the other side.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City,
FM 102.3,
WZHR, Zephyr Hills,
FM 104.3.
Listen.
News. I'm Tim McGuire. President Trump holds a rally tonight in Pittsburgh. Before leaving the White House, he defended his administration's handling of the coronavirus pandemic, in which more than 200,000 people in this country have died, the highest of any